All right, and everybody can see the Be Money coaching page.
Yes, it looks great. It's
Cool.
perfect.
All right.
Yep. So, welcome everyone today for our class with Deb from Be Money Coaching. She's going to be talking about how to stay safe online. It's an ever-moving landscape right now. So, I'm grateful that she comes with her lived experience, her knowledge as a financial coach, and her wonderful approach to making kind of uncomfortable or challenging topics around money and things relatable and safe. So thank you all for being here. I'm so grateful, Deb, for your knowledge and your time, and I look forward to learning along with everyone else. So let's get into it.
Thanks. I appreciate it, Reggie. Thank you, everybody. I'm so glad you're here. And this can be a really sensitive topic because a lot of people um, don't like to talk about scams when they've been defrauded. They don't like to. It's a really hard thing to talk about because it hits so many emotional touch points. And so this is basically like these are the kinds of things that can happen. This is what they're called, and this is how you can stay safe. And these are some steps you can take to protect yourself in the future, and also to start the recovery process for in case something like that happens to you. As it happens, an hour ago, I received a text message, and I wanted to share it, but I didn't have time because I couldn't find my mouse. But I received a text message today, and I don't know if any of you have received this, but this is something to really be careful with. So if you order online, you'll get tracking information maybe sent to your phone or to your email. Today, I received a text message with a USPS package status update. Um, and it said, "Hello, this is Killian Murphy from USPS." And then it goes on to tell me that they couldn't deliver my package, and it includes a link in the text message telling me to that I need to visit the page in order to get my package. Now, I am not going to click on any links. I'm just going to delete and block. But those are things that can happen a lot. They happen in the state of Washington, where you'll get like you owe money from a toll, for example. That's a really common one. And one of the best ways to do that is going to be on a resource page that I'm going to include when I send out the slides to Reggie, so that you guys can have a starting place to look at, okay, well, if I get something like this, where should I go? Because there are a lot of government sites. There's a lot of crossover. To report things like that. And then there are other places you can report, like the platforms or the police or whatever. So you'll get all of that when you get your slides. So having said that, I'm just going to get started here. Um, all right, so about me, I'm a Gen Xer, I'm a mother, and I am also a caregiver. I am neurodivergent and have major executive functioning disorders. Um, I am a money coach. I am Latina. I was born in Panama. I grew up in the United States. I love coffee, and I love it when it rains, and I hate the weather that we're having in Seattle right now. And I'm currently reading The Happiness Trap by Russ Harris. It's a book on acceptance and commitment therapy, which I'm going to work on myself because I didn't realize I was kind of using it in my coaching practice, but I'm going to use it on myself. I'm not a trained therapist, so obviously I'm not going to use it on my clients, but I didn't realize that I was using some of the tenets of that. So anyway, it's really interesting. It's a really interesting book. All right. So scams happen all the time in the real world, and they happen, obviously more and more online. The more connected we are online through social media, through our banking, through, sending in applications for anything, for government assistance, for a job, whatever, there are scams everywhere. And billions of dollars are lost annually in all kinds of scams, and a lot of that money is never recovered. So it's really, really important to just be aware and to trust your intuition. I'm going to be saying that throughout this presentation, because a lot of people are like, this sounds kind of sketchy. And if it feels like that, then that's a sign that you your intuition is working and that you just need to take a step back and either give it some time, look into it, and or ask someone for help. And there are steps that you can take to maintain your safety and to have a better sense of your own power and how you can use that to stay safe online and in the real world. So, who is vulnerable? I'm vulnerable. I am, an English speaking US citizen who, spends a lot of time online. I've been on the dating apps. I am on social media. I do my banking online. I do all of those things. I am just as vulnerable as anybody else. And so are you. All of us are vulnerable. And one thing that I have found in my research over the years is that everybody, and when I say everybody, I mean everybody from disabled people, cis white people, gay people, black people, rich people, poor people. It doesn't matter where you are from or who you are, everybody is vulnerable. And having said that, it's a way of saying, a lot of people say, well, that could never happen to me. And it can happen to you. It's just you need to take steps to stay safe. Um, and to just be aware of what's going on. So common scams, a lot when we think of scams, a lot of us think of money because money is tied to so many of the things that are on the right. Like the romance scams. A lot of people, we've heard it, there was that Netflix documentary a few years back about a guy who was scamming women. Um, tech support. They want you to send money, or spoofing and phishing, sextortion. They want, they say they have a picture of you and you need to pay them money to keep them from putting the photo out on the internet, even if there is no photo. I didn't know that there were, I mean, I guess I kind of knew in the back of my head about adoption scams, but I included it just because I just want you to see the whole wider view of all the ways that people are scammed and that it's everywhere and it's in so many different places. And with financial scams, we typically think of, your bank account getting hacked, your credit card being lost and somebody racking up a bunch of money and the bank sending you a text. My mother and I are representative payees for my sister for her Social Security. And last week I got online just to check, the balance on her accounts because I do that every day with everything. And we found three Amazon purchases totaling over $200. So it wiped out my sister's Social Security. And I immediately got on the phone to the credit union and I was like, hey, I need you to look into this. And we had to do this whole thing with, going in and asking them to challenge it and just do all this thing. But I caught it because I'm always looking at all of our accounts to make sure that everything looks good and that there aren't any funny things going on. And that's how I was able to catch that. Um, the credit union did, it was the ECU, they did respond right away and they did like reverse the charges that had gone through. Excuse me. And but if I had sent out something for my sister or if I had tried to use the debit card, I wouldn't have been able to because the account was essentially just wiped out. And the money wasn't put back in there until we contacted the credit union. So those are really important things to do. It's like at the very least, um, to be checking those accounts. We also have there's also a lot of fraud going on with utilities, and I didn't know that was a thing until about 7 years ago when I was working for an immigration attorney and one of her clients came in just in floods because she said that Seattle City Light had called her to tell her that her electricity was going to be turned off. Long story short, she received a phone call. It came from Seattle City Light, and there was a demand for payment. And she went to Fred Meyer, got a $500 gift card, and called it in to the Seattle City Light number. So what they were able to do was to kind of like somehow reroute the phone number so that when she called back from her phone, the same number that had called her, instead of going to Seattle City Light, which was a legitimate number, it went back, it went to the people who were doing the scam. She was out $500, and it was the second time that she had done this. So my boss read her the riot act, and she's like, "Where was your son? Why did you do this again? This happened to you a few months ago. Why are you doing this?" And so it was uh, then that I got onto the Seattle City Light website, and I saw that this is a common thing. And I saw that when I went in to look for the phone number. The phone number in the woman's phone was the same as the Seattle City website. So, or the City of Seattle, or the Seattle City Light website, the customer service number. So that's something else to watch out for. Any demand for payment with a gift card or a crypto or a wire transfer is an automatic no, because utilities are not going to make a demand for payment that way. All right, so staying safe with your finances. The very first thing is to make sure that every account that you access online, actually, and this applies to more than just finances, but it's very, very important to not have the same password repeated across multiple websites. Because even if you have a long, complicated password and you reuse it, there's still a chance that if somehow your system is hacked, they could still access multiple websites. Um, and so one way to do that, and this will be in your resources, is to have a password generator, a password keeper, which will generate a long, complicated password for your financial accounts. And this is one layer of protection. It's not going to be perfect, but it is a layer of protection, at least on your end. Okay, because we do know, we've heard over the years of Target and Home Depot getting hacked, and data breaches and things like that. But at least on your end, you can at least minimize the damage, and you can know at least that you did better than these big stupid corporations that have all the money and technology in the world, and they still weren't able to prevent a hack. But you can protect it on your end. You really can't control anything on their end, but you can control things on your end. The other thing is to enable multi-factor authentication. And what that is you download an app. The only ones I know of are Microsoft and Google. You download an app, and when you try to log in on your website, it's going to ask you to authenticate it through your app. And the only way you can get through that app is entering a password on your phone or using Face ID. And then you go into the app, and then there'll be a number, and then you enter that number onto the website. So that's also going to be included in the resource page. But that's a way of doing it. Another way of doing it, or the old way of doing it, was also to have a code sent to your phone, which is, really annoying, but it just adds a little bit more protection, or a code to your email. Changing passwords after a security breach. That's really important. Update everything after there's been a security breach. When a website asks to store your credit card information for easier checkout next time, just say no. Don't store your credit card. I know that, like with Apple and Amazon don't let you delete a card unless you don't have an account with them. Excuse me. It's so dry in here. You can also check your credit reports and put freezes on them. You can check your credit report for free, either weekly or twice a month. And that's just a way to make sure that nobody has opened any accounts in your name, that the address that is on your credit report is your address and not some address somewhere that you don't recognize. Because you can correct those things right away. I mean, it does take a while, but you can correct them once you see them, so that you can make sure to um, that somebody's not doing anything that they shouldn't be doing with your social, your address, your birth date, things like that. When you're going to donate to a charity, a very common scam is after a natural disaster or a human-made disaster or whatever. All these charities start popping up. You see the typical ones: the American Red Cross, Catholic Relief Services, the World Kitchen uh, I can't remember the name, but the chef Jose Andres who has this charity where they're taking, they take food after a natural disaster. Even if you see that it's the American Red Cross, make sure that you're actually going to the American Red Cross website. Don't click on any links that are sent to you via text or via email, because you want to make sure that you go directly to the website and that it's the actual website. If there's a charity that you don't know of, you can go onto the IRS website and look up the Form 990, or just look up the information to see if the charity is still active and to see that it's a legitimate charity. Don't carry your social security card with you. Leave it at home. There's no reason to carry it around. You don't need it to go shopping. Maybe you need it because you need a reminder of it. If you're going to open an account somewhere, you're going to go somewhere where they're going to ask you for it. But other than that, you don't need to carry it with you. I remember when I first got, well, I was a kid, but I remember as a teenager and as a young adult, I would carry my social security card around, and then it's like, hold on, I've got my license, I've got my social security, card with me, and other identifying details. And I learned then that no, you shouldn't be doing that. Keep a photo of your health insurance card. If you have a health insurance card or prescription card, keep a photo of it or a digital copy of it in your phone. I take pictures of the front and back of all of my mother's and sisters and mine, and my health insurance cards, prescription cards, anything that has an identifier. Keep a picture of it. Don't carry it around with you if it's not necessary. Some insurance websites, like for example, I have Kaiser Insurance. I have the app on my phone, and inside the app is a copy of the front and back of my insurance card. So I don't have to carry my insurance card with me. In fact, I don't even know where it is. I probably have it in my safe somewhere, or I probably destroyed it when I got it because I had my digital copy. And then for any other cards that have anything to do with money, so EBT, Social Security, debit, credit, health insurance, take a picture of the front and back of those cards and save those cards, email them to yourself, or uh, put them in the cloud, or save them onto a flash drive so that you always have them in case they're lost or they go missing. You have the phone number that's on the back of the card and not some random number that you can call to report it missing. Every time I use my passport for travel, or my kids use their passports for travel, I confirm that I still have copies of all of our passports in the cloud. I have everybody's information in the cloud in my at home, because if a passport is lost or stolen, the credit card that somebody's using on a trip is lost or stolen, all that information is there. And I've taught my kids little by little to do that, but as a backup, I have to, I have their information. Don't use your birthday, your social, um, or any other identifiers for pins, and don't reuse pins for more than one card. My trick is to use the last four digits of a family member's phone number, or I mix up my cousin's, kid's birthday, just something that I can remember for my pins. For two of my cards, I use the last four digits of family members' phone numbers in Panama, and those phone numbers are no longer working, but I've just had them in my mind for 30 years, and so I just use those numbers, and that's how I am able to remember. So I have those little tricks that prompt me to remember, but don't write them down. Don't write them on the cards themselves, which a lot of people do, and I know it's really, really hard, but that's just a very, very easy way um, for your wallet or your billfold to get stolen, and for somebody to access um, your account. Now, I have to be transparent, and I have to say that that BECU breach of my sister's Social Security account, the card that was used for those transactions was the card that my mother was assigned for that account. I have no idea how that happened. The only thing that I can think of, because we don't share that obvious, we don't share the card with anybody. We don't share the pin. We've protected ourselves like that. The only thing I can think of is that the card, which is used, yes, to make purchases online, somehow there was some kind of hacking thing going on at some random website, because we don't use that card for Amazon purchases. We only use one card for purchases on Amazon. The only thing I can think of is that that card was somehow compromised with a larger group of cards or something, and it was used to purchase on Amazon. It's the only thing I can think of. But again, like I said, because we caught it, it's fine, and she got the money back right away. But that is something to just be super mindful of. Um, and then, of course, I've already talked about this, but the utilities thing. If anybody calls and threatens you and says, I'm calling from Seattle Public Utilities, I'm calling from, you're in California and you have um, PGE or Pacific Gas and Electric, whatever, all of those things, those places are not going to call and demand payment via gift card or a wire transfer. Typically, they will send you something in the mail. Then they, will call you saying, hey, we'd like to talk about your account. Please give us a call back at whatever. And they're not going to ask you for payment that way. They're not, payment is made through the portal or it's made in person at an authorized, you know, acceptor of payments or something, but they're never going to ask for payment via gift card, wire transfer, or crypto. So romance scams are a big thing. Now, personally, I don't know anybody personally who's ever been involved in something like this, but I have been on the apps and I have reported people who to me were very, very suspicious. And I've also had people on the app say, hey, do you want to leave the app and let's go, give me your WhatsApp number, or what's your email address, or, just some weird thing. And one of the things that they tell you on these websites, on the apps, is don't leave the platform until you're sure, until you're sure that this is a legitimate thing. Tell people where you're going, let people know where you're going to be going, let someone know, just to be safe. But I also just finished reading, or listening to an audiobook um, that kind of goes along. I learned a lot of things from this audiobook. Yes, it's chick lit, but it's also the kind of information and advice that's given in a lot of places online and on the dating platforms themselves. And because this is such a big thing, I wanted to include it in this presentation, because I feel like um, it's something that's not talked about. People sometimes are embarrassed because they're like, oh my God, I can't believe that I allowed him or I allowed her to, to do this to me. And so I'm throwing it out there because I just want you to know that if this has ever happened to you, that there's no shame in talking about it. And it's really important also to see the signs. So be wary of people who don't have a social media presence. Um, a lot of people will be like, I don't do social media. And it's like, in this day and age, a lot of people have at least one account somewhere, even if they've just left it alone, or even LinkedIn. Then there's the love bombing, oh my God, I can't believe I met you, and you're so beautiful, and I feel such a connection to you. Um, Asking to borrow money is a big thing. I have an emergency, my kid is ill, I'm in jail, I'm stuck overseas. No, no, no sending money to these people. Um, they won't introduce you to their friends or to their family, or there's always an excuse like, oh, my parents live overseas, or, I'm here in the United States, but my parents live, in England, or my mom is in a care home. She wouldn't want you to see she wouldn't want to meet you, in this state, and or I just want you all to myself. Let's put off meeting our friends and family. I just want you to myself for now. Um, then there's not wanting to do video calls. The dating apps, a couple that I know of allow you to do video calls, but not wanting to do a video call and not wanting to meet in person is a huge sign that there's some kind of fraud or scam going on, that they're not who they say they are. Um, okay. I know that in this previous slide, a number three, I put asks to borrow money. I purposely put it again on number six because this is a huge, huge thing. It is huge. I was reading about it recently, and after I listened to that audiobook, and then I think it was like a year or two ago that I saw that Netflix scammer, and then it's a common thing that happens. And then I went on to the FBI website and some more information. But asking to borrow money is a huge thing, and people feel compelled to, in our heart of hearts, a lot of us are just very, very good people, and we want to help even if we don't have a lot to give, we still want to do whatever we can to help. And a lot of the ways that these people prey on unsuspecting people is to ask for money, and they have some kind of a story. Um, so that's a big thing. Another thing is to not tell people about their past. I don't want to talk about my previous relationships. I just want to start new with you, type of thing. Um, if your family and friends are saying, that seems kind of weird. And if more than one person is saying that, or if more than one person is like, you gave them money? Why are you giving them money? Why are they asking you for money? Or, I never see you. I never see you. And every time I call you, he's there or she's there and they won't let me talk to you. Those are signs that there's something going on. Um, then there's the asking to leave the dating app so you can chat via email. And I just want to reiterate, like I said earlier, that if something feels off, trust your judgment because there's nothing wrong with waiting. Whether it's a purchase or an opportunity you find via email or LinkedIn for a job or the possibility of meeting somebody and dating, it's okay to take things slowly. Now, I have major ADHD, and so I have to be very aware of my lack of impulse control. Um, and so I have to remind myself that it's okay to take a step back and to just wait. And if I have to remove myself from my phone or my computer or my whatever, because I want to buy something, or because maybe I would like to, pursue something more on an app or whatever, I know myself well enough that I get that little thing in my stomach and in my head that says, slow down. Um, and so, there's nothing wrong with trusting your instinct and saying, just take it easy. All right. So what to do if you are confronted with something like this? So always hit pause before clicking on a link or sending an email. Um, when I was looking for a job several years ago, I was on Indeed and I was like, why do I keep seeing these jobs? And why do people say that Indeed is just not a good place to be looking for work? I mean, people can find jobs on there. I don't know. All I know is that there are people who do scams and they use platforms like Indeed, ZipRecruiter, and all the other places. They do put a lot of stuff on there that isn't legitimate. And so one of the ways that I learned to see if a job ad was legit was to just go to the company website and then go into, we're hiring or not, whatever, to see what kinds of jobs they were hiring for to see if that matched what was on the Indeed profile. Um, but that is a huge way that I learned over the years that these portals for remote work, for in-person work, whatever, they do what they can to get these scams out, but they don't get everything all the time. So one way to protect yourself against that is to, Also have your long unique password, multi-factor authentication, and to just because you also have a lot of personal information uploaded in there. You've got your, your resume, your entire work history, or part of your work history uploaded onto these platforms. So you really want to be careful with that. Um, so having said that, report threats and weird behavior to the platform and to the police. If you are getting stalked on social media, or if you have said no to somebody on a dating app, um, report it to the platform. Report the user to the platform. There are ways to do that. And if it continues to happen, like if this person keeps contacting you and starts to make threats or starts to become abusive, then that's when it's time to go to the police and also report it to the Federal Trade Commission, because the Federal Trade Commission monitors everything that's happening. That's where you would report something that's happening online that's a fraud or a scam, and that will be in your little handout when this is over. And then if you are tempted to log back in to, say, a dating app, and you're just like, I just want to see if I can give him one more chance or if he's still there. Maybe she wasn't as bad as I thought. If it helps, delete the apps from your phone, because that's typically where we access these kinds of things. A lot of times it's not on your computer, and I don't even know if the dating apps are even available on a PC. So delete the apps for a week to kind of give yourself a breather and give you some space. And then, if necessary, you can also make to really cut off any kind of um, contact. You can delete or deactivate your social media profiles, make them private, change your username, do things to make it a little bit harder to find you, and then only approve people to follow you or to be friends with you or whatever on the platform that you approve of and that ahead of time. And then anything you post, like on Facebook, they have a post where they have a way to make it so that that only your friends or friends of friends or everyone, they have different levels of security. So those are ways to just protect yourself, so that you don't have such a huge online presence. And it's really hard to do that. Like I don't use Facebook um to post like, oh, this is what we had for lunch today, or I'm going on vacation. I use it for my business, and I use it for my groups, like my local buy nothing group or my caregiver group or whatever. But I also try not to post, and if I do post, sometimes I try, depending on the subject matter, I do try to do it anonymously, because I don't want the entire world to make that connection. So then one of the things, like I said before, it's really hard for people sometimes to admit that they've been a victim of some kind of a scam. Because let's say you sent money to somebody and your friends and family are going, what were you thinking? And then you finally have come to this realization, like, what was I thinking? And then, it's human nature to be like, so and so told me to be careful and I wasn't careful, but now I need somebody to talk to. So talk to somebody that you trust. Talk to somebody that will just listen and not bring out the toolbox. They're not going to judge you. You just need somebody to listen. Talk to your therapist. Go to the police. Call the non-emergency number and say, hey, this thing happened and I need to make somebody aware of it. Contact the platform. Um, do what you can to start taking control back little by little, because that having agency is really important. Um, it helps us feel like, okay, I can't do anything to change what happened before, but I can start taking steps now to protect my financial life, um, the black and white of finances. It'll take a little bit longer to heal, what happened in your heart. Um, but at least there's one less thing to worry about, because you're not going to give them any more money. you did that, and I'm gonna have to start over. um, so I've said this before. Report suspicious dating profiles, report threats, harassment, extortion, abuse, anything like that needs to be reported to the platform, and to the police, and possibly the FTC as well. And then just keep in mind that it's human nature to sometimes succumb to the desire to want to be in community, or to not feel so lonely, and to just feel like, maybe if I give this person money, or maybe if I click on this email, or maybe if I do this thing or the other thing, then maybe some of that is going to go away. And and it just makes you just it doesn't make you a terrible person, a dumb person, a stupid person. It makes you the kind of person who just wants to reach out to people and be with people. And those are the kinds of people that unfortunately get preyed on. Um, and so it's really important to just remember that, and that this can happen to everybody, anybody, but you have agency, and you can take steps to not have that happen to you, or to minimize the damage. So it's very boring to have to go through all of your email accounts, all of the shopping sites, all of, social media, everything, to assign a new complicated password to everything that that has to be done. I get bored, but I also know my limits, and so I may set a timer. I'm a huge fan of timer. I have like 20 timers in my phone, and alarms, because I need to remember to eat. I need to remember to get up to go to the bathroom. I need to remember that I need to go and breathe fresh air and not be in my room all the time. So when I am tasked with doing something boring, I'll set a timer. So one thing you could do, or try, is, once you have found the password manager that you're going to install on your computer, then you start the process of going through, like, say, your email and your banking sites. Like, prioritize what's most important and start resetting those passwords. And the password generator will offer you a new password. You don't have to remember it. You just have to remember one phrase, or one general password, one master password, in order to get into your password keeper. Um, and so the password keeper I use is free, and it's only allowed to be used on one device. So it's on my laptop. I'm going to upgrade soon to the paid version, because I want to have it on my phone as well. Because having to enter manually new passwords to make sure they match in my phone and my laptop is just too much of a mess. But to start, you can download the free version of a really good password keeper, which will help you do that. And then take take these steps one at a time, because if you get bored really easily, or if you just lose patience, or you're just like, oh my God, I don't have the energy for this today, then just break it down so that you can do this in priority order. If it were me and I were doing this for the very first time, I would start with my finance sites, banking, my brokerage, anything where I have anything that's attached to my money, I would start there. And then I would go to my email, because that's where because they're so intertwined. Because usually you have to enter your email address as your username. Um, and so that's why I would start there. And then I would make my way toward the shopping sites, social media, and that kind of thing. Um, but something like this, it does seem really overwhelming, and it is, because it's a huge undertaking, because we have our digital lives are spread out everywhere. We do so many things online. Um, and so that's just it's okay to take your time in doing this. It could take you it could take you, a few weeks, a few months, it could take you over a year. And ask for help. Ask somebody to help you. If you are having trouble figuring out how to get the password manager set up, see if there's somebody who can help you do that so that the task seems less daunting and at least you have company while you're doing that. Take steps now to protect your money. That's as a money coach, that's what I'm going to say first. And then the second thing is to trust your instincts. Trust what you're feeling. If something feels off, it probably is. If if you're feeling like this isn't normal, like I've never had anybody I'm dating ask me for money before. I just met this person. Then trust your instinct. And that's when you have to take a step back and take that breather. So basically, the recap is to start taking action, report suspicious activity, take it slowly, and remember that the people who do these scams are going to prey on anybody they can. They will go into Facebook groups pretending that they have TBI or that they are a caregiver or that they have MS or that they are offering financial advice. They will prey on people and they will stalk the platform or the group and they will try to find the people that they find that are most vulnerable. I've seen it in these groups and I've had to report people to admins because I'm just like, that's really weird. Why are you doing this? Because I want to protect the community. It's not a huge community, but I want to protect the community because, it's really easy for people to fall for this kind of thing. And it's just one way that we can all, also look out for each other and hope that, you know, none of us is hurt or damaged by these kinds of things. I usually never have a quote on any of my presentations because I can never find anything that's fitting. But I found this one and I really like it because again, it's telling you to just look inside yourself and to really think about ways, understand how your body works and how your mind works and how you can listen to everything that's inside you. Because if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And to trust yourself, trust your judgment, and get help learning how to do that through therapy or support group, or for somebody, or somebody who can help you work through that. Because I think that a lot of times we feel like, oh, I'm just overreacting, or you're being told you're too dramatic, or you're too this or too that. And then it's taught us that we don't have to listen to ourselves. And then that's when we become vulnerable to some kind of scam that could really cause lasting damage, financial, mental, emotional, in so many ways. And that is it.
Excellent. Thank you, Deb. Let me pause or stop the recording and we will have a chance to share. Bear with me.